tutorial on Slack today. This is very appropriate because I am wearing my Slow Climate Coalition shirt, and we've been talking about doing a Slack training. And so this is my Slack training for the Slow Climate Coalition, and it's doubling as a training for everyone who wants to learn about Slack. So if you're not familiar with Slack, I'm going to bring up its website and share my screen to start a little discussion of Slack. What it is, why it's cool, how you should be using it, and what you can make of it. Okay, so I think I shared the wrong thing. Okay, so now I'm sharing my Safari window in Slack, or my Safari window with slack.com up. And this is kind of the, this is their website. Basically, their slogan here is Slack brings the team together wherever you are. Now, my description of Slack is going to be a little more in depth. Basically, I think of Slack as a way to replace email for a team. Okay, so we all have an opinion about email. I think anybody who's been using email for as long as I have, I think I got my first email address in 1996. And then again, I think 1995, 1996. Anyway, email has gone from like this amazing, like world-changing thing to a burden to most people, sadly. So I want to help you make the most of email. And one of the best ways to do this is to have a separate tool that you use to communicate with your people you communicate with the most, your team. Okay, so I have done many different setups of Slack with different groups of people. Could be any sort of group of people. It could be, I did it with my Leadership Slow class 26 a few years ago when we did Leadership Slow. Great use of Slack. Everybody signs on, you can talk, you can shoot the stuff, you can, talk about official stuff, you can talk about non-official stuff, you can talk about when everybody's going to meet at the pub. You can talk about how you're going to get your project done. And the way you do that is different channels. And people can subscribe to a channel or not. They can get notifications for a specific channel or not. And it basically reduces the number of mass emails that have to go out. Those are, I don't know about you, but those are the bane of my existence. I hate mass emails. I hate the fact that maybe somebody on that email had the wrong email address, or whoever first sent it had the wrong email address. So that one always gets bounced, right? I also hate that every single reply includes every other email all along the way. And you got to scroll through every single email 2, 3, 4 times just to get back up to the top. Such a pain. Plus, it's just inefficient. It's creating, say you send out an email to 20 people. Now you're creating 20 copies of this message in everybody's email box, filling up all the email box, especially if you put attachments in it. Forget about it. I mean, geez, it's crazy. From an IT perspective, email has gotten out of control. And from a user perspective as well, it's just not that great anymore. So basically, what I am here to tell you is that when you work with a group of people on a project, in a job, on a nonprofit, we use Slack almost exclusively at the Slow Climate Coalition. We have very few email addresses, and those are only for communicating with people outside the organization. That's important. So again, inside the organization is Slack, outside the organization can be email. Okay, and that's no matter what kind of organization you have, whether it's a business, nonprofit, doesn't matter. Okay, Slack brings you together. You can break out of the inbox. You work in channels, okay? And this is kind of like the old school AOL chat rooms. I know it sounds weird, but that's what they are. They're chat rooms, and they're threaded. And you can, have a comment and then a thread under that comment. So all that stuff with that comment gets handled in that thread. The conversation's organized. People can add you. You can get looped in. You can get looped out. And yeah, it lets you choose which conversations are most important. You don't just have one big stream of everything just flowing in. You have different channels, and if you're interested in that channel in that moment, you go and click on it and you read those then. Okay, and you can respond when it's appropriate for you to respond rather than having to deal with every email as it comes. Tell me about it. That's every email as it comes is such a burden. So instead of group emails, you have channels. These channels can bring people together. You can also, if you look up here, you can have mentions, you can have direct messages with people. So, like a regular one-on-one email, but that also can happen in Slack if that person's on your team. Lots of companies use it, blah, blah, blah. So you can try this for free. And that's the other great thing about Slack is their business model, as I've covered in previous sessions, is really interesting. They provide an enormously full-featured, packed, free account that anybody can use, get started up really quickly, and basically use almost all the features of this product that you would need for free. And the way that they make money is if you then grow to a certain level, it's a freemium thing. But what's really interesting is that they often grow inside big companies, and big companies have big budgets for IT. So when those companies get hooked on using Slack on the free version, or maybe a team within a big company, then it becomes a thing that now the company's paying for. And Slack makes money that way. The one big downside of using Slack for free is that you get a 10,000 message limit, okay? You can only go and search to prior messages farther back. You can't go farther back than 10,000. Now, none of my Slack groups, except the Climate Coalition, has ever reached that limit anyway. Actually, the Slow Scoop has. And, we decided, I don't care if the old messages are not searchable. We'll deal with it. We're on a rolling project basis anyway. So that's the overview of what Slack is, why it's good for your teams, and why you should probably use it. Now, what do I want to show here? So there's enterprise, there's pricing. I'll just bring up the pricing real quick to give you a basic intro here of their pricing scheme. So look at this. I have a group. They gave me $50 in credit. So they often do that to get you to get onto the paid plan. And they do have nonprofit plans too that are, I think, 50% off. So my workspace is using the free version. I have 10,000 searchable messages, 10 apps I can add. So that's another great feature, is adding these apps. One-to-one video calls, but like Zoom, Slack has video call features. The free version is only one-to-one. You can't do multiple big group ones. Two-factor authentication makes your account more secure. But that's, that's some downsides, but not big, right? And the standard is, $6.75 per person per month. So if you have a big team, it can get expensive pretty quickly. But that gives you your unlimited archive, unlimited apps, group calls, and all that good stuff. So, you may end up wanting the paid plan. And if you have a budget, an IT budget, and you want to improve your communication within your team, it's well worth doing that. But most people don't have to. Okay, so next step I want to talk about, you can set up your account. it's really easy. They basically, do I want to go through that right now? No, I'm not going to go through setting up a new workspace because that's a very, very infrequent thing. I want to go through signing into your workspace and getting it set up on your computer. That's a crucial part. Your computer and your phone. So a lot of people who are just getting started with Slack only set it up as a web app, and they can click this little launch button and it launches right here in the browser. You see my Digital Life Support Group is right here in the browser, and I'm able to jump into different channels. The two basic starting channels are general and random. By the way, I'm gonna bring up my video here so that I can see if anybody's commenting and asking questions while I'm doing all this. Okay. And anyway, so this is the random channel. This is the thing in the web browser. But ideally, if you have your own computer, and this is your computer, you have your own phone, you are able to install the app that is the Slack app. Okay, so go to the App Store for your device. I'm going to go ahead. Okay, I'll just do this. I'm going to go share my full screen here, my full desktop. Okay, and there's Slack over there. Here's my Facebook channel. You're going to see like the want repeating thing here pretty soon. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to my App Store on my Mac, and Windows has a similar thing. You can download this app at their website too, but maybe a little bit better to go to your App Store and download the app. Okay, I've already downloaded it. If I hadn't, I would be clicking Get, and then from there I'd put my password in and it would download and it would be installed really easily with the App Store. It's free to get. And then you click open. Okay, so I'm going to open my Slack app using the App Store button. Come on, there we go. So here's my Slack app. All right, here is my Digital Life Support Group. I'm going to just put this over here. And you see the same things that you saw in the web browser are now available in this app. And the trick is to get signed into this app. Now, we can talk about passwords and signing in to, better ways to sign in. I did that yesterday with the 1Password course. I highly recommend getting 1Password for yourself, or if your team has a budget for IT, definitely get it for the whole team. It's great to be able to share passwords that everyone needs and then keep your own private ones to yourself. Put these type of things in there and you won't ever have trouble signing into stuff. But if you don't have that, Slack does have a neat way of, if you forget your password, they'll just email you a magic sign-in link. You click on that from your email, it jumps straight into the app, and then boom, you're signed in. Now, what's cool about this is I've got all these different workspaces. Okay, I have MKP, I have Leadership Slow, I have my Mac Cog, I have Family Camp, I have Sierra Club, I have Mac Admins, which is a bunch of guys like me who manage Macs. I have my Slow Climate Coalition and my Slow Scoop. So all those I can just jump back and forth between. And I'm not going to do that because I really don't want you to read all the messages that are in all these. My Digital Life Support Group is new group I just created. My Mac Cog is a group I created but have never really used. That's for my own people that I communicate with for my business. But I'm going to actually invite all of you to the Digital Life Support Group page right now. And this is a special exclusive offer for those of you watching right now. Normally, I will only allow people in this group if they are a paid subscriber to me. I have a yearly paid subscription for $1.99 to be part of my Digital Life Concierge group. And this is one of the benefits of that. You get to join this group and ask me questions and, ask other people questions and have a conversations. That's a nice little benefit. But I'm going to invite you today. Okay. And I'm going to create a little, let's see, I'm going to invite you by putting this. Join my digital life support group on Slack for free today. Special offer, normally only for paid members of my concierge service. Okay, so I'm going to use my paste bot that I love. And actually, no, I didn't copy the thing yet. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to click invite people. I'm going to click share invite link. Copy this link, which is going to expire in 30 days. Expires in 30 days. So take advantage of it now. All right. So anybody checking out my Facebook Live is going to see that. And if you guys want to join, great. Okay. So that's how you invite people. You see that? That's a crucial feature. You go up here, you have all these different functions for your group. Okay. You can set a status for yourself so other people watching can know whether you're available or away or whatever. You can edit your profile and change your account stuff. You can change your preferences. There's the away mode. You can get help and feedback. Notice this subdomain here, digitallifesupport.slack.com. Okay, that is the key thing that you set up in the beginning to know how to get to your Slack group. Okay, so whenever someone asks you to join their Slack group, the first question is either, can you send me an invite via email, or can you tell me the name, the domain name, right? The subdomain technically is what it's called. Digital Life Support is the subdomain. Slack.com is the domain. Okay, so you know what that is. You can get yourself in there depending on the settings that the administrator has. Okay, so the administrator, which I'm an administrator on this, I can manage the members, I can manage the settings on the workspace, and I can manage the apps. Okay, so let's look at the apps that are available for Slack. Okay, I'll move this over here. And there are, the one most common app that you're probably going to use is Google Drive. So the way you do that is you just, you paste, you can do it a bunch of ways. You can add it here. You can start by pasting a Google Drive link into a Slack message, at which point there's this neat feature called Slack Bot that will say, hey, you're using a Google Drive link. Do you want to hook up the Google Drive app with Slack? And you can just say yes, and it'll ask you to sign in with your Google account. And then your Slack account is now linked to your Google account, and it does nifty things like auto share. When you post a Google Drive link, it'll auto share with the people that are in that Slack room. So you don't have to separately share it or make sure you have the right settings on that link. Really cool stuff. There's also other integrations. This is custom integrations. Let's see. These are just apps that I have only allowing the Slack. So here's the Slack app directory. Let's talk about the Slack app directory for a minute, and what are the most useful ones in here. So Gmail, never use that one. I imagine it puts a little widget in your Gmail that lets you have a connection between your email and your Slack. Dropbox, super useful. If you want to post a link in Dropbox, it makes it really easy to pull stuff out of Dropbox and put it into Slack. I mean, that's, similar to Google Drive. Those are the ways to hook up your data storage, whichever data storage you use with your team, whether it's Dropbox or Google Drive, hopefully not both. use one of those and hook it up to your Slack so that then it becomes a lot easier. Let's see, Ring Central is kind of a cool voice over IP app. If your company uses that, it's a way to make phone calls. I'll show those. Anyway, that's a cool app. These are all these little voice and video apps. Microsoft Teams can be hooked up, although it's weird. It's more of a competitor. To-do apps you can hook up. I'm not seeing anything. Trello is useful to hook up because you can actually use Slack. And once you hook up Trello, you can use Slack to create tasks for other people. You just have to know the right little slash command. Once you've done it a couple times, it's really easy to remember how to, well, really easy. It's like remembering a code in your head, but it is possible to remember and then say, oh, I want you to do this, and then slash Trello, and you then assign it to that person in Trello, and then you go into Trello and actually, deal with your tasks. So this is just some examples of integrations that you can use. I'm going to go over here to my, so Megan wants to know which add-ons are especially useful. So I talked about that already. How to convince someone to adopt it. Yeah. Okay. So Google Calendar is also a really useful one. Okay. Once you hook up your Google Calendar app, so you can see, you can update statuses, you can get reminders right there in Slack if somebody else has a calendar event that was created, learn about changes. So it just brings everything, it brings all the stuff from different places into that one area and makes it, have more features really than email does. Way more features than email does, right? Okay, so that's enough for right now about the integrations. Let's talk about how just to use it, okay, and how to navigate it. So first of all, I'm going to change my share so it's just for the Slack app. Okay, so it's a little tighter what you can see here. And basically, I'm going to just give you the basics here about how to walk through this. So when I click on myself over here, I've got these three columns: my column of all my workspaces, my column of the different areas in this workspace, and then I have my messages. And then there's a fourth column I'll show you in a minute. So general is the first workspace, and not a workspace, channel. That's for everybody, and everybody's on general. So for your organization, you want to make sure that you're using general sparingly for only the most important blasts that should go to everyone. Okay, you don't want to just use general for everything. Okay, what you really want to do is decide what are the different topics of conversation, or the different projects, or the different areas of focus that this organization, this business might have. Okay, so general and random are just the default ones, but if I click on the word channels, then I can see all the channels that the organization has. Okay, now I haven't created any extra ones for this, and if I had, though, they would be listed here. I could click on it, it would go to that channel, and there would be a button that says join this channel. Okay, but if I want to create a channel, I can do that right here too. That's what the plus button here is for. So there's two parts of creating a channel. There's the short name, the hashtag of the channel, and then there's a description, so you can tell people a bit more about what the purpose of this channel is. So I'm going to create a channel for let's see, requests. I'm just going to call it requests for Justin. All right. So this is going to be where my clients come to uh, submit a direct request to me and have me then answer, right? So if you have a question or comment for Justin, please post it here and I will get back to you. Right? A lot of people do this over email and stuff, but I'm going to create one called Request for Justin. I'm not going to add anybody right now, but if you want to add yourself, you can click on channels and then boom, there's a new channel. I click on that and I'm already a member, but if I wasn't, it would be a button for adding. So first big thing for learning how to use Slack, signing in. Second big thing, add yourself to all the necessary channels that are relevant to you. All right. And again, all you have to do for that, click on the word channels, click on the channel that you're interested in, and then click join. Most people aren't going to have to create channels. You're just joining as a team member. If you do want to create channels, great. Create channels. Don't create too many. You don't want a million channels, but you do want to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff, right? You want to be able to have like random stuff going random, requests go in requests. Like it's important to have some separation, right? Okay, so next thing I want to talk about is direct messages. So I have no real direct messages in this account yet, barely ever used it. But if I wanted to create a direct message with someone, let's say the only person here is Slackbot, I'm gonna go over to Slackbot and I can type a message, hi, and then that person, right, is gonna get that message, gonna reply to me just like a text message. It's really very simple in this case, except it comes with all the features of Slack that are legion, with sharing files and sharing statuses and calendar items and all that good stuff. Okay. So I just go here. If I don't see that person's previous history here, it's just because they only show you a certain number. If you've had direct chats with more than 5 or 6 people, then the older ones kind of drop off. And this, by the way, is not just for one-on-one conversations. This is also for one-on-many conversations. So 5 people, 8 people. I think there is a limit. I think the limit might be 10 people in a direct message, in which case you would want to make a channel. And if it's still a private conversation, you can make a private channel, right? Make channel private. So it's also a useful thing if you, maybe it's in our case, we have a leadership team private channel that only those folks on the leadership team can access. Maybe it's just a project that you're working on with a small group that not everybody needs to or wants to see. Create a private channel, invite those people, and you guys can communicate as much as you want on that topic without randoms jumping in. Okay. So again, you got your direct messages. You can actually use this space with your name and you can write yourself stuff like a little notepad. It's kind of cool. And so remind me to to edit this video and post to Climate Coalition Slack for training purposes. Okay. Now, I can post that for myself, and that's kind of cool. Or I can send it to Slackbot. And if I send the words remind me, Slackbot goes, oh, here's how you really write me a message. Okay. So if I change this a little bit and I write /remind, okay. Okay. remind. Do I have to put the brackets? No, I don't have to put the brackets, just the quotes. So it's, and this actually gives me to an important another part of writing messages in Slack. The slash is a command to the programming of Slack. The @ is a command to say write a message to someone or mentioning them. So you can write a message in the general channel and mention someone by typing the @ symbol and then typing the first few letters of their name, and then it'll pop up. And that's useful to bring someone into a conversation that they might not be seeing otherwise. And they'll get a more urgent notification for that than they would have if their name wasn't mentioned. So that's a useful thing. And then another, and then you can do, in this case, remind the person and then the quote, and that's the reminder I'm going to get. Another thing you can do in a Slack message is use a hashtag. So the hashtags are for channels. So I'm going to, you know, hashtag this thing with the random channel just for fun. And then when I hit that, oh, you didn't like that, huh? Using quotes around. Weird. Maybe they didn't like the hashtag. Interesting. Maybe it does need the brackets. I haven't done this before. Can you tell? No. I guess, do I have to say when? Okay. Let's try that. Okay, there you go. So that's the syntax. Slash remind at yourself or someone else. This is a great way to remind someone else of doing something. And then you use, you don't need the brackets. And then you use quote, what you want to remind them of, end quote, when. You can say a time, 9 a.m. tomorrow. You can say just the word tomorrow. All that, you know, so once you learn that syntax, which I just did, you can then write that message in any channel, in any direct message, and that person, whether it's you or somebody else, will get a reminder from Slack at that time. It's a Slack bot. Okay, that's a super useful thing. So also, if I'm going into general and I say, if I want other people to join a channel that I just created, let's say, I just created the hashtag request for Justin channel. Please join me there to ask me questions. Okay, so I just sent my first message to the general channel with a link. So now people can just click on that little hashtag and it takes them straight to the channel I want them to see. Not the general, the specific channel, right? You can also share that channel with other people if you want to just invite people manually, and all that. And you can add your app integrations here and stuff like that. But basically, join your channels, know about the @ symbol, know about the hashtag. If you want to get fancy, do reminders and use Slackbot and add app integrations. But there's one more major tip that I want to make sure everybody knows when they are communicating over Slack, especially with a big team, especially with a lot of stuff going on like we have with the Climate Coalition. Not only do you want to be careful about how much you post to the general channel so it doesn't get overwhelmed, and it's really important. If it is really important, you can actually make it even more. Instead of at a person's name, you can at everyone in the channel, everyone in the whole workspace, or everyone online right now who's actually paying attention. I like the @channel. And this is a big announcement. Everyone should read, right? So I post that, misspelled something. Now, here's an important factor. When you are going in and you want to comment on this message I just sent out, especially in the general channel, but really in any channel, don't just write another message in the general, in that channel. Reply directly to that message. If it's a reply directly to that message, then reply directly to that message. And here's how you do it. You hover over that message. And when you do that, see, I have these two separate messages, two separate hovers. When I do that, here's the key. You hover over here. You can give a nice reaction. I love telling people, you know, giving them thumbs up when they say something good. That's one tip. But the more important one is, second one, start a thread. Okay? Start a thread. I can't emphasize that enough. Don't reply. If it's direct reply to a message, don't reply in the main channel. Reply in a thread. Okay? Click start a thread. There's the fourth column I was talking about earlier. You start a thread. It creates this little fourth column in your browser, in your app. And I'm replying to you here. You can do other fun stuff like hitting, you know, bold and whatnot. That doesn't matter. You don't really want to click this most of the time, unless it's really important reply. And you send it. So now, when I'm scrolling down my general and I'm just coming back after a day and I haven't read all these messages, I don't have to read everybody's reply to a message that didn't make any sense to me. This was not relevant to me, so I'm not going to go into those replies. But if it is, I click on the one reply and boom, there they are. Okay? Use threads. Unfortunately, you can't go multiple threads deep, but definitely use threads. Use threads and use these little emojis to give people props on what they do. You can either click on one that somebody else has done, you can click that guy, or if there's already one, you can add another reaction. Those are always fun. It's like a little team building exercise, okay? What else? Those are really the main things that you got to do. Set it up on your, so I'm going to recap here. Once you get your invite to Slack, don't just leave the sign in your browser. Download the app, okay? Download the app on your computer, download the app on your phone. Remember your password. Write it down, put it in a 1Password management tool so it's easy to sign in. If you don't get an easy sign in, it has a link to send to your email that makes it easy to sign in. Slack's really good about that. Once you get in, click on that channels button here and join all the relevant channels that you're interested in talking about with your team, okay? Here at the Climate Coalition, we have 20 channels, okay? Not everybody's interested in every channel. Not everybody should be. It wouldn't make sense. But the ones you are, you should be on, okay? Don't wait for someone to invite you. Join those channels. Direct message people, if that's what you need to do. Instead of email, use those direct messages. 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 10 people you can direct message, okay? Also, next, when you're creating your messages, write your message. It's all good. Use links and all that good stuff. Also use to, if you want to everybody in the channel, if it's really, really important, or a specific person by typing their name and just doing that, okay? If you want to send somebody to another channel, you can hit the hashtag and then do that. It makes a little link for that person to go straight to that channel. If you want to do a reminder, you just put a slash and there's a bunch of tips that pop up here. See all these great tips of all the different cool things that Slackbot can do for you? Well, remind. I'm going to type remind. And then who do I want to remind? Myself. What do I want to remind? To post this video. I already did this, I know, but, and then I say when. So I could say tomorrow, I could say Friday, I could say Monday at noon, right? So now I got a reminder. Great for that. Doesn't matter what channel you post a reminder for yourself in. No one's going to see it but you, unless you tell someone else to be reminded. In that case, they're going to see it too. And then finally, use threads. Please, when someone has a message and you want to reply directly to that message, don't just reply in the channel. Use this little button to reply to a thread, okay? With those things in mind, most people have got Slack down. It's really that simple. Once you learn how to use those functions, you're gonna love it. And yeah, really, that's it. Those are the main things. You know, I guess there's a couple other that are fun, like starring a message. So it makes it easier for you to get back to a message that you thought was really important. You can have any particular message. You can have Slack remind you about any particular message, especially if it has something to do with something you need to do, right? And they didn't do the remind Justin to do this, then I can set that up right here. I can pin to the channel. So if it's something I want to be right there front and center for everyone coming to this channel for who knows how long, I can pin it. I can, of course, unpin it later, but it's a neat way to have like whatever the most recent, most important thing in that channel is, you can pin it. Okay, and of course you can edit and you can also delete your messages. So this little pop-up is critical for some of the most important functions inside Slack. Okay, sharing a message could be done with an individual person or in another channel or whatever. I don't really do that often, although I probably should. Okay, so that's your lesson on Slack today. I hope this was useful for everyone. I am going to post this on Climate Coalition Slack as soon as I get it done. And thanks a lot. All right. Okay, so moving on.